Hello everybody, I hope you had a good week. I am sorry for the delay today, but if you live in one of the areas of the US that are under that heat dome, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that. We had a couple days of temperatures below 80, below 100, and when the morning temperatures, night temperatures and morning, were below 80. So yesterday and today I did a whole bunch of stuff in the yard. Hi Elaine, hi Colleen. And I really had to rest because I have this thing, when I don't like to have the dryer going on when the AC is on. I don't want to put too much stress on my house. You know, the fear of something happening to the power when you have a heat wave. And with my house being one of those built in 44, yeah, it was brought to standard back in 2011, but still. And anyway, as I said, I had to rest. And I know I did stuff like this before, but I'm still going to go through some of these and what I intend to, and that is entirely depending on if I still feel good to do it, to do a very short, easy faux gemstone. But to start with, give me just a minute, I'm searching here for a specific stuff. Okay, so to start with, I got some of my gemstones. I have quite a bit of gemstones, as you can see. Different sizes, different, some that are in the works for over a year, the tutorials, I mean. And hopefully I will at one point in the future manage to finish them. But you know how it is, life gets into your plans in the worst possible way. Now, the first thing to talk about is that when it comes to semi-precious gemstones, because obviously we cannot do the precious gemstones because in polymer clay you cannot obtain pure transparency. You can have translucency, but not transparency. Whatever stone you want to make, your work depends on three things, actually. First of all, it will be the first. Yeah, let me try and make a little bit of room here and trying to explain it better. So the first division we have will be, I lost my camera, will be translucent, and opaque. Now, some of them will be a mix between the translucent and the opaque, right? I mean, not a mix of translucent plus opaque, but they will have layers. And that is mostly seen in things like certain types of agate, sardonyx. But one of the things that I wanted to say, except for turquoise, and not even that, there are specific types, and stuff like variscite, you still need to add a little bit of translucent because that is what will give you a better more realistic look. Sorry for this shadow, it's from this book. The other thing that you have, there's a second division in two, of which any of these can have. It is the regular and shimmer. And in the shimmer ones, I put together all types of shimmer, be it Labrador essence, be it like the cat's eye, like the tiger's eye. It doesn't matter. They will be shimmering. And for anything that has a shimmer, you will have to use some type of mica clay. What I always recommend is to not use, even if some of them are better than others, they all have the pros and the cons, but if you want to be really, really realistic, do not use any of the mica clays of any of the brands. Make your own. And many, many times I have given the link to that wonderful, hold on a second, let me pull it up. That soap making company. Let me get first the link to put it in the chat, and then I will enable the display. And why I recommend this, because the mica powder grain itself is not small enough as it is in the actual gemstones. So these are micas for soaps, and they are exceptionally fine, and you can get them by color for whatever you need. This is where I actually found the red for my faux Peter site, because everything that I could find in the regular clays and in the regular mica powders was all copperish. But as you can notice here, another thing, these are all industrial lab-made micas. The natural mica can only be silverish or goldish. So as I said, I do strongly recommend that you make your own mica clays. And then there would be the the matter of the translucent. You can, obviously, you can use the Primo translucent, but as I said many times before, the Cernit and Pardo are much better. The translucent of Cernit and Pardo are much better. Now, there are a few things that you need to remember. So as I said, number one, put a little bit of translucent, even if it is an opaque a stone, because it will give it, and I'm not talking about a lot of translucent, even if when we are talking about whites, you will have to put a little bit more translucent than in other colors, because white is the most opaque of the polymer clay colors. But as you can notice, and I have here, I can show you the different, I think I have one, and it's kind of sort of, it has other stuff in it too, but the difference between when it is polished and when it is not polished. So these two are various howlites. This is a kind of dirty snowflake obsidian. I have a much better piece here. And this would be a Dalmatian jasper. And this, to be very honest, I am not entirely sure what it is, because initially I got it as a dirty snowflake obsidian, but it is not, because this is actually green. So I don't know, there are all kinds of things. But if you have been on my channel for a long time, you know, but for the people who are new, if you go to my channel page, click on playlists, I have actually several playlists. One that is separate just for turquoises, and one that is on various other gemstone techniques. There are turquoises in this one. The thing is that on them you will find both free, and some of them are members only, I think. Yeah, some of them are members only. The ones that are members only, there's only the intro, as you can see here, but there are plenty of faux gemstones, and especially the turquoises. I know everybody is about turquoises. And you can see many from various, you can actually see here a lot. Let's get back to our thing. Okay, now as I said, I do have a howlite, for howlite, that's a free tutorial. And I know that in many of the howlite tutorials that you see online, they recommend just plain black acrylic. Well, in my experience, the howlite stones don't look really like that. As you can see here, they do have a little bit of a fainter, it's more like a dark gray. And when the howlite is dyed to be like a turquoise, they dye the matrix too. Here's another Dalmatian jasper. But as I was saying that, and I lost that. When they are, while I was saying to put a little bit of translucent, it will shine better. Only when we are talking about white, you have to put a little bit more. But what I would recommend is to put about 1/8. So as usual, when I do my mixes, I use the 1.5 inch cutter, because it's the easiest way to measure, because you have one, and then you cut it in two, and you have the half. Then you cut that in two, and then you have a quarter. And then you cut that in two, and you have 1/8. And you cut that in two, and you have 1/16. And on, you know how normally I am not much about going perfectly perfect with the, this much and this much and this much. But when it comes to for gemstones, you have to, because otherwise you will not get the color. The problem you'll have will be to go from one brand of clay to another. And this is why I have, if you look in my In my playlist, I have some of the gemstones are made with Primo, some of them are made with Pardo, and I even have some Cernet one. I know, and I noticed that lately most of the reels on YouTube and shorts, no, reels on Facebook and shorts on YouTube, just show the chopping thing. I think I made my first tutorial with that, like, I don't know, 5 years ago, 4 years, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I don't know. But you know, that's just it. It says for gemstone. What gemstone? It doesn't look like a gemstone. Of course they look pretty. Of course they look, but if you really want to do a faux gemstone as it's supposed to look, you need to be a little bit more careful and study. And as you know, when you watched my tutorials about faux gemstones, I actually explain why I am doing it in a certain way, because I explain also how the gemstone was formed, how it came to be, and that is why we are supposed to go that way. So whenever you go for something like this, like the snowflake obsidian and the Dalmatian jasper, for stuff like this, okay, as you can see in the snowflake obsidian, do not go for white. This is not white. This is definitely not white. Let me grab a piece of white something. That's another highlight. But you can see this is not white. It's closer to this gray than to the white. So be very careful with the colors. And another thing, if you do not have a tutorial and you're trying it by yourself and you're making the mix by yourself, before you do the whole, even if your mix looks like, if you put it side by side and it looks exactly like this, first cut a small piece, flatten it, make a little bit, flatten it and make it shiny, and bake it. Because many times, and especially if you're working with brands like Pardo or Senet, the color changes when it bakes. So make sure that you do baking test whenever you do your colors. The other thing, when you have stones like these that have these smaller inclusions, if you're going to just chop some small stuff and mix it with bigger chunks, it will not look like this. Why? Because when you chop, it is a blade. It's going to do a straight line. As you can see, most of these do not have straight lines. So what are you supposed to do? First of all, you can chop. You can chop really nice, and I'm going to grab a piece to show you the whole thing. First of all, your clay has to be sitting for at least a couple hours, not freshly conditioned. The clay for the inclusions. I'm not talking about the other clay. I'm talking about the clay for the inclusions. So you grab it, you cut a slice of it. This is just some scrap gold I have. And you chop it small, right? I'm gonna chop it as small as possible. But you don't want to leave it like this, because as I said, if you leave it like this, it's going to have straight lines, and there's no straight lines in the So what are you going to do? You're going to gently go like this. You press very little, very little, and you might have to come back just in case they get together. This is why you don't want it to be freshly conditioned, but you just go a little bit over them like this to force them to create small rounded edges instead of straight line edges. And you do this several times until you are happy with the result. Then you put them to the side and you let them sit for another couple hours. And when you mix them with the main clay, that main clay has to be very well conditioned. And you do the same with it. You chop it in much bigger chunks that you round up a little bit. You don't let it sit like these ones, because these have to be a little bit harder than the main color in the in whatever the inclusion is. And then you mix it, and do not chop. After you mix, do not chop. Just if there's anything that you need to separate, use your fingers and break things apart. Okay, so this is done. Another thing that if you notice in the snowflake obsidian, they are a little bit together. So one thing that you can do in stones like this, once you get all your things like this together, before you do anything else, you can put a little bit of whatever color is. In this case we have the black, a little bit of chalk pastel, and then mix them together and allow them to clump a little bit, because as you can see in the snowflake obsidian, they have the tendency to have a little bit of clumping together. So that would be the way to obtain this type of, and you have other types of inclusions like the snowflake obsidian in other gemstones. The other thing, whenever you have fractured stones like the howlite or like the turquoise, or do not, as I said about the howlite, do not use just the plain acrylic paint. That will leave plain straight thin lines, and in most of them you do not have plain straight thin lines. If you, yeah, that would be the matrix. Your best bet is to use if you don't have colored liquid clay, you can use regular liquid clay and color it with acrylic paint. And even if you have colored liquid clay, I would suggest that you add some acrylic paint as well, because otherwise it will penetrate. But you do want it to penetrate a little bit, because as I show and in my howlite tutorial, see the lines are not perfectly perfect. They don't have a plane. Let me get this a little bit closer so you can see better what I'm talking about. See, they are not perfectly straight. They kind of have a, I don't know, like a 20th of a millimeter. It's a little bit of a gradient. They kind of like seep into the other stone. It's never a perfect line. So that's why you want your liquid clay, because that will cause the color to bleed a little bit in the chunk of polymer clay. The same would be with, see, this is the spider jasper. I think I had a few more. Spiderweb jasper. And there are several different, you see, I don't know if you can see, there is a slight difference in color between this and this. This one is more beigeish, this one is more grayish. It depends where they come from. These are not beads, they are just little spheres. I love little spheres of gemstones. But if you notice, even in these ones, even if it almost looks like they are perfect lines, they are not perfect lines. Let me get again on the zoom in so you can see better. See, they do have a little bit of bleeding in the main body of the stone. It's not completely and totally perfect. And the other thing, if you notice here, the lines are not always the same intensity. Like on this one is the most noticeable. Some of them are more intensely black than others, but that is such a detail that nobody is going to hold you super extra super. Okay, I have here a dyed howlite, and you can see why it's not a pure turquoise. I'm not saying that there are not turquoises with black matrix. The problem is that most of the turquoise, there are some Chinese, I think 1 or 2 Chinese mines that have turquoise with pure black matrix, but most of the matrix in turquoise is going to be some sort of reddish, brownish, even grayish and silverish. Remember that the turquoise gets its color because it forms in copper deposits, and the blue is the copper oxidating. Also, remember when we do faux patina on copper, the faux patina we do is that turquoise-ish kind of stuff. And this is how the turquoise gets its color. The only, as I said before, there are some that have white matrix, not white, silverish matrix, and those are in areas where it's iron or even other metals that are like that, and some that are in areas with gold, but those have the tendency to be green turquoises, and those are usually mixed deposits of greenish turquoise and variscite. And sometimes even the best expert finds it very hard for some of the stones to differentiate between a green turquoise and a variscite. Those would have a gold matrix. And don't get me wrong, the varicites are wonderful. I don't have any varicites. I couldn't afford to get anyone. But, oh well. Okay, getting back to, let's talk a little bit about more translucent stones. I have here, normally the ocean jasper is completely opaque, but it can appear as agatized, and look what happens when it appears agatized. You can easily make ocean jasper with using mokumegane with that technique of cutting rounds out of a stack and then putting in replacing it with plugs of concentric colors, and then you can just reduce the whole big thing, because it's easier to make big holes and big plugs than small holes and small plugs. Now let's go to the transparent and semi-transparent stones, and these would be mostly amethysts and agates. I'm gonna leave the jaspers last because I'm going to try and do a picture jasper. Jaspers are so many kinds of them. Hold on, I'm trying to find more that are actually tumbled. So these are chevron amethysts, and I do have a chevron amethyst tutorial out there. A lot of times you will find amethyst with agate, and the sardonyx also has some very nice translucent white in it. Okay, so then you can do some smoky quartz. Sometimes the quartz might have one, and that's why you can use, I wouldn't recommend using it a lot. I'd recommend going more for a chalk pastel or some kind of powder that's super fine, but you can mix a little bit of mica powder when you do your chunks for quartz, because depending on how the segments of the quartz are fasciated, it can happen that, let me see if I can make this so that they have a slight shimmer. Let me see if I manage to do this to show you what I'm talking about, because this one has shimmer. No, actually this is a labradorite, it's not smoky quartz, never mind. Let me see if I can find one that does have that. Okay, this one has it. See how it looks in certain areas, looks like it has, so this is a pink quartz, it looks like it's got glitter in it. It is because of how the fractures in the crystals happened, and this is why in some of them you can, but this is a very good example of one that has very little of that, almost none. This is a pink crystal, pink quartz that doesn't have that shimmer, and this is a pink quartz that does have shimmer. As you can see, it's a perfect example. I have another one of these, and this one is kind of like in between. It does have a little bit of shimmer. And yes, I do have an opal hearts, pink opal hearts tutorial too. Let's see, this is a very light, another very light pink quartz that does have shimmer. But see, like here, you can notice that it is actually the fracture that shines. Like here, you can see that it is the fracture that shines. You see this whole line, this is where the fracture happened, and then the crystal got back together as normal. This is a smoky quartz. On this one, it's very easy to see there's no shimmer whatsoever. Actually, it does have a little bit of shimmer here where it's got some inclusions, but in the very middle, there is no shimmer. There's only little inclusions. So yeah, when you're doing any type of quartz, you can or cannot, it depends on what you decide, add mica powder. Now, when we are talking about inclusions of types of quartz and calcite in stones like the sodalite or the brecciated jasper, again, because we are talking quartz and because we are talking, let's see, like this is a regular white quartz and it does have shimmery, glittery stuff. You can or not. It's entirely up to you if you decide to use any kind of mica. Like on this one, I'm trying to find the brush. I know I had the brecciated jasper with quartz. This one does not have quartz. And this one does not have quartz. Oh. I know that I used to have one that had a quartz. Well, bummer. But as I was saying, you may or may not, whenever you have inclusions like this, also make sure that you do mix a little bit colors. Again, as you can notice here, and this is why it's such a beautiful inclusion, it's because you have a little bit of smoky quartz and a little bit of regular quartz and almost like a calcite. A calcite is practically a quartz that's non-transparent, like this one. And this one. Well, this one, it would be more transparent, but it's not polished. But this would be a better example of calcite instead of quartz. It's a quartz that's not transparent anymore. So that would be the main thing. That's another pink quartz that's got some glittering in it. So when you do agates or like chevron amethysts and stuff like that, be very careful with the lines, because everything that I've seen in tutorials, and not gonna be like touting my own horn, they are not lines. You have all kinds of see here, it's the best example. See how they are not really lines. And if you're one of my members, you know, in the blue lace agate tutorial, I show exactly how to make this kind of stuff to make perfect, to make these in a perfect way, so they would be exactly like. And I'm trying to find more examples of that. There are so many things. I like to play with little gemstones. Let me see, in the little one. These are called chips. I recommend the chips for energy, for getting, whenever you're full of stress and bad energy, just go ahead and play with little chips. You can find them. I'm getting mine usually on eBay or Amazon. I used to. I have enough. I don't get them anymore. But if you play with them, they are all kinds of mixed. And after a while, you feel like they absorb everything that's bad. And you are good to go. But let's go ahead and do Let me put this down. And yes, these are little polymer clay bowls. They are not. They're made out of pretty much made out of scraps. I had a scrap of a cane, and then it's just marble. And here I had a scrap, and I just put them together. But yeah, this kind of bowls you can make all the time. Okay, let's get these little picture jaspers for examples. This one is not very picturesque. Well, these two are enough. Yeah, this is one of Oklahoma's stones. It's the hourglass selenite. It can be found in one of the areas in Oklahoma. It's on a old lake. This and the rose, the stone rose, the red rose. I forgot how it's called. Anyway, so in order to make this, obviously we are going to start with white, and I'm not gonna make a big chunk of it, but this is kind of sort of rectangular, right? Let me close all these other things. And then I'm going to grab some brown. I don't know why they have some brown. Not really brown. Yeah, and you can use, usually if you use your burnt umber or sienna, you should be just fine. And I'm going to make a light beige with it first. With all of it, okay, and as I said, it's going to be a light beige. So oh, why did you go all the way there? Oh. Sorry, my roller decided to go all the way in the back of the table. And if you see, usually the picture jasper is a certain beige and has beigeish tones that have a tad of like sandy yellowish and pinkish at the same time. It's more of a cafe au lait color, or how it would be called, a latte. And the differences are very subtle. Oh yeah, talking about, because I keep seeing where Elaine typed matrix in the I'm not sure if it's in the turquoise playlist or in the regular faux gemstones playlist, and it is a public video. I have a tutorial on how to make matrix textures for turquoises, because you can make them both as a solid chunk that you just put into molds, or you can also make them as a more of a veneer and use them on top of scrap clay. It's entirely up to you what you decide to do. I think I need a little bit more. It is not dark enough. Because you start with the lightest, and then you divide it, keep one, and in the rest you add a little bit more. Let me twist it for better and faster. Yeah, so my main thing in the garden was in the backyard, because I have some, my backyard is surrounded by trees. We got like 4 huge trees, and as a result, every spring I pull out hundreds of little emerging saplings, and you can see when you start mixing, sometimes you just get a perfect veneer for a picture jasper. Anyway, but because this year we had first almost a month of rain, and then we went straight into super hot with 100+ heat index, I did not really have the proper weather to go back there. And now some of them are getting 3 foot tall. So I had to go in the back there and try to chop some of them down. I'm done with about half of the backyard though, but it is a tiring thing. There we go. And the other thing that I didn't do, something I didn't do, to mix a little bit of translucent in it. The other thing is, do not go away from using all kinds of stuff around you in order to make your faux gemstones. For example, there's a lot of times that I'm actually using ground pepper. You know, like peppercorn pepper, ground pepper. I used it a lot, not just ground pepper, but also kosher salt, like in my bumblebee jasper. Because the bumblebee jasper has tiny inclusions that look like black pepper, but it also has little pits, minuscule pits, and those, once you bake it, you wash it, and any type of salt crystal that would be on the surface is going to dissolve. So you'll be left with a regular specific bumblebee jasper pitten. So yeah, why I prefer the polymer clay bumblebee jasper is because the regular bumblebee jasper is toxic. You should never wear it touching directly your skin. If it's got a backing of metal, it's okay. but never a pendant of it touching your skin. Because it is toxic. It's got a whole bunch of sulfur and all kinds of other stuff. Okay, so I'm going to use this. That is approximately kind of sort of rectangular-ish, and I'm going to cut this into 4 pieces, approximately equal. As you can see, it's not truly beige, it's just going towards beige, but we'll get there. All right, so now I'm going to go half and then 1/3. And make the, and this we are going to make them as a veneer, okay, not as a, and with this one I'm going to mix a little bit of brown, actually about equal colors, and I know I had here some black. I'm going to mix in this other one only about half because I want it more grayish than anything, and these I'm going to mix first because these are going to get choppity chopped. Oh yeah, I love the purple roller. You can only get it at Home Depot. Home Depot, Hobby Lobby. I don't know why I said Home Depot. Ay. Okay, so you want this to be not black, but like a darker gray, and you don't want to mix it all the way. So pretty much here I'm going to stop. And then this one I want it all the way, mixed all the way. Now the thing with picture jasper, you know very well that there are no two stones the same. That's a given. So if you do your mixes with sienna brown, it should be just fine. And again, on this one, I'm not going to mix it all the way, but these are getting mixed completely. There we go. Yeah, I have other rollers. I have thinner ones, and I have some of those thick ones, but I still like this one the most. It fits the best in for my hands. So yeah, here I don't have umber. This is a leftover stuff that I made into brown, so it might not be the perfect color with what I have, but you use umber, not umber, sienna. You use sienna polymer clay, Primo, with white and a little bit of translucent. I'm just showing you the technique. Oh, let's get it completely mixed. Oh yeah, did I ever tell you before how excellent tackle boxes are for various molds, to keep various molds in them? I hope I did, because they are great. And this is the last one. I need to grab, I'm thinking of that because I need to grab a mold from it. So the final mix is going to be very haphazard. The same, that's what I was starting to say, that no two picture jaspers are the same. Okay, and last thing will be a little bit of this, but I'm going to get it on a very, very thin setting. I think this is souffle, but it's okay. You can use souffle as long as you mix it with some translucent. Otherwise, it will not. Oh, I don't want to break it. All right, now let's chop this. Normally, I would let it rest a little bit, not a lot, a little bit. And you can even put, as I was saying, you can put a little bit of ground peppercorn. To get more fine grain. But it's the whole effect. Actually, I might put a little bit of chopped pastel to make it not. Alrighty. Let me give it a touch of black and a touch of gray. So that it wouldn't cling to itself so much. And the same thing with this. And give it some dark brown. Oh, somebody asked me once if you can color clay with chalk pastels. Yeah, but it's going to be opaque. Remember that it's going to be opaque. It's a good pigment as long as it's a soft chalk pastel. That's adorable. The little 3-year-old playing with polymer clay. I hope you don't let him play too much with the blades. Alrighty, so now I got everything that I need, and I'm going to start the play. You can make even a darker brown if you want. Yoshi, I just made a hole. A big old pile of it. So it's on the thickest setting, and I'm going to chop it and stack it. One of these days, hopefully, I'll make a tutorial for chunk instead of There we go. So I got 3 veneers. And you're gonna say, what about what we chopped? That right now. It's coming. You're too big. Oh, that's adorable. That's really adorable. Okay, now we're gonna use a little bit of wax paper, and we are going to burnish those chopped little pieces in. Normally I would chop them even smaller, but you know, we don't really have time here for that. let's make some cabochons. Let me grab my tackle box. Okay, I'm gonna show you my tackle box. Okay. Let me see. I'm trying to get the whole thing here. So this is the top layer. Come on. Where I have all kinds of smaller cabochons. And then this one, where I have bigger cabochons, and this one goes away. And then I have all kinds of other smaller cabochons. All kinds of cabochons, as you can see. And I'm looking for this one. But see how neatly a tackle box works. Actually found this one in at Goodwill. I found so many things at Goodwill I cannot even begin to tell you. Okay, now we're gonna grab some scrap clay. Oh, by the way, whoever watches, I posted on Facebook. And I know I said I'm gonna send some to you too, Elaine, but it's been so freaking hot I cannot go to the post office yet. And honestly, I don't have money to pay the flat rate. I'm waiting to send it with normal priority mail. But I'll send you some too, and also a lot of pieces that you can just put stuff on them. But yeah, if you're in the Oklahoma City area and you need scrap clay and some scrap canes, let me know before Tuesday, because otherwise I'm gonna be throwing a whole bunch of clay in the trash. Okay, let me make this a little bit more conditioned, not a lot, just a little bit, because we're gonna cover it anyway. Okay, and the way to do the best when it comes to making cabochons, so you first go for a bead, right? And then I'm going, because I want to use this one. I'm not change this. So I want to use this one. You are just seeing my belly on its beauty. So for this one, and I'm going to need a longer bead. So using the cosmetic sponge. I have a new one, but I don't know where it is. So I'm gonna still use the old one. And then I'm going to trim the extra. Now, I'm gonna grab one of these veneers. Which part I like the best? I think this one. And then I'm going to place it again in the whole cabochon-y thing. And once again, cut all the extra. And I'm gonna use all three of them so you can see. Yeah, it's been bad with me. It was what threw me off, and I'm still not recovered. I had to go 3 times to the doctor last month, and I cannot drive. My car is not working. I had to Uber, so that was a whole bunch of expense. Okay, the second one, actually, let's make the second one a little bit bigger because I have that bigger veneer. And that black gray, I should have chopped it even finer, but oh well. Alrighty. And I'm gonna place the veneer all around it. No, to be very honest, I started slowing down. I don't know if you noticed, I started slowing down on my videos and everything once I went off of pain medication. And because, as you know, this is the wrong one. I'm an idiot. You know how chronic pain makes you tired and also not in a perfect mood to create stuff. That's why I gained weight. That's why I got diabetes. But not much I can do about it. It's not that I don't want to, I can't. Alright, so the second one and the third one, we're gonna make it smallish too. And I'm going to, as usual, I'm going to do a close-up. Yeah, I cannot afford to fix my car. I cannot afford to get a new one, so I'm stuck. I'm at the mercy of other people, and at least they are kind enough to help me with grocery shopping. And I don't have to pay for delivery fees. Okay. So here we go. Here, let me actually get with this through the machine on a thinner setting. Make sure it is long enough. But yeah, this I didn't chop the black gray small enough. Oh well. The brown part is okay. I'm not happy with the gray. Yeah, I hear you. It's bad for everybody, but for the ones of us who are disabled and on a fixed income, it's the worst. Okay, now I'm going to put them here and give them a close-up. And let me refocus. It's very badly focused, I know. Give me just a second. Okay, is this good enough? So yeah, as I said, I'd have preferred the black and be as small as the brown, but for some reason it was too fresh, especially because of the white in it. But this is a way to make picture jasper, and you saw it's very haphazard. You don't have to worry how the whole stuff is arranged. You just do a pile and then that's it. So easy peasy. So I hope you like it, and I shall see you again next Sunday. It's at least next weekend. It's supposed to be nice. Let me check, because we are expecting again some hot weather this coming week. Okay, so let's see. Let me close this, get on the display and see how it's going to be next Saturday. Saturday and Sunday is going to be better. I'm still gonna have 3 days. You can see over 100, and then some more hundreds the other week. So yeah, come on. I hope you like them, and you will keep this information. You can write it down, but that's why I make all those little diagrams, because for me at least it's easier to remember. So you'll have some fun. Okay, thank you all so much, and I shall see you all next Sunday. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye.